After the monsters have assembled, Dracula then says, "We need a plan of attack." "Then what is your plan of attack?" said Adam. "Okay then. Adam, Van Helsing, you two stay on the ground. Fight off as many of these evil demonic creatures as you can. We need to try and close the rift. Gillman, Wolfman, you two go off and fight whatever's coming in the Thames, and Mr. Hyde." "Yes, sir." "Do whatever it is you do." "Gladly." "And what about you?" "Me and Imhotep will go and try and stop Akhaten and fight our way through these demon scum. But as long as he remains that chunk of gate, the portal can stay open, and God only knows where he's opened it to. Some hellish dimension by the look of things." Then the monsters go to battle as they fight their way through. Van Helsing and Adam fighting evil demon creatures and warriors, and Adam firing away at his guns, clobbering with his batons, Van Helsing fighting with her sword and trying to not get wounded, and also the Gillman and the Wolfman jumping into the Thames, clawing and fighting their way through creatures that are swimming in the Thames. Also, Imhotep and Dracula take the form of a swarm of bats and sandstorm and make their way to Akhaten as they fight their way through demons, drying them out, draining them. Then, that is when Dracula and Imhotep come face to face with Akhaten. Akhaten then tells them, "You're too late, monsters. I have the upper hand, and all of London is mine. There'll be more coming through this rift, and we're going to stop you. You can try. Let me handle this Dracula. He is beyond you. He's a mummy, and I am a vampire, and a former warlord in my life. We will stop this together." "Are you sure?" "Yes, I am." Dracula and Imhotep then both go in together as they fight Akhaten. Akhaten put him a good fight. Meanwhile, on the ground, Adam and Van Helsing start to get outnumbered. Then Ava says, "What are we going to do, Adam? There's too many of them." "Have faith, Ava, have faith." Then some creatures get shot at by a helicopter. Adam then looking and finding that these bullets are holy. These are holy bullets, marked with the symbol of God. Then finding a chopper and some other flying machines, bringing in Foundation soldiers, along with Dorian Gray with them, saying, "I thought you could do with a bit of help," said Gray. "Thanks for the help. Cavalry's here?" "Indeed it is." Then a demon creature rams his horns through Dorian Gray's chest. Unimpaling himself, he then says, "You ruined my waist jacket." Then that's when Gray pulls out a gun and shoots. Then one Foundation soldier hands him a sword. Thanking him, they then start to fight creatures off. And then other beings from the Foundation step in, wizards and witches, and other supernatural beings that work alongside the Foundation coming in to help them. Also, the British Army start fighting and firing. Whilst doing that, Mr. Hyde then jumps onto one tank and says to one of the soldiers, "You're not going to fight them like that. To kill them you need blessed godly weapons or demon weapons. More weapons aren't going to harm these fuckers." "How would you know?" said one of the soldiers. "And what the hell are you?" "I'm a monster, but I'm one of the good ones. At least I'm trying to be." Then a winged demon jumps on Hyde. As he fights it, he then manages to overpower it and drive his thumbs into its eye sockets, ripping them in half till they disintegrate. Then Hyde says, "Look, make yourselves useful and get these many regular people to safety as you can." "We don't take orders from you," said the soldier. Of course you don't, you melons. But we are equipped and well trained in this, so you can just do as I say or whatever your boss says, right?" Meanwhile, back in the Thames, the Wolfman and the Gillman managed to successfully take down a serpent creature by clawing out its eyes and then working its way into its brain, breaking through its scales. Then Wolfman looks at Gillman and says, "Good teamwork. Yes, Wolfman." Then they all of a sudden find some Foundation soldiers also fighting down at the Thames with other creatures. "Well, what do you know? Cavalry's here," said the Wolfman. "Griffin thought you could do with some help, men." "Good." Then the Gillman jumps back into the river as he sees a tentacle creature swimming around. As for the Wolfman, he sticks to the banks of the river and fights with the soldiers. One of them shoots him in the shoulder and then says, "Sorry." He then manages to heal and get the bullet out of him, saying, "What is that bullet?" "Holy silver." "It's fucking painful." "Yeah, but luckily you can regenerate and heal." Yeah, I can." Meanwhile, back at the portal gate up at Big Ben, Dracula and Imhotep continue to fight Akhaten. Then Dracula then says, "How long are you going to keep this up?" "I will fight to the end. You just don't give up, do you?" Then Dracula gets out his sword, part of his nano suit. Imhotep then says, "That's good magic." "Yes, it is. I can fashion a sword and a shield out of this nano weapon too." Then, fighting together, Imhotep uses his mighty magic and also tries to harm Akhaten, but with them both being undead mummies with mystical powers, it is quite difficult. Then Dracula then turns himself into mist. Akhaten then saying, "Wait, where is this warrior gone?" Then Dracula reforms into his full self. Then Imhotep holds him back. Dracula then smashes the piece of gate and the tablet that holds the rift open. Even then, the portal remains open and slowly closes. Imhotep then saying, "It's no good, the event's still happening. The planets need to unalign." How long could that take? I don't know, but we need to try and keep them from falling out. Yes. Where did you open this gate to? Oh, to a dimension where I serve my new master. Your new master? Who is this new master? Why, he is the first of all evil. And in order for this to happen, for all of this to happen, we need this event to occur so that he can harness on the energy of all. What are you on about? Said Imhotep. I'll never tell. Then Akhaten then pushes Imhotep away with a great force and flies back into a sandstorm flowing through London. Then Dracula says we got to try and stop him. Yes, we do. Meanwhile, Adam, Ava, and the Foundation army managed to overpower some of the demons on Westminster Bridge. Adam then says, "Good job, people. Now, we need to try and stop them from attacking mortal beings and damaging any more buildings." Then they all head into fighting. Meanwhile, back at the Foundation, Griffin looks on monitor screens with other agents, one of them informing Griffin that the army is in full force, but the British army and the authorities are still intervening. Don't worry, I'm sure they will be told by our soldiers to just supervise and guide civilians out of the danger. Then Akhaten reforms himself on top of a tall building, where Mr. Hyde then jumps upon him, punching and beating him, going, "You, not so tough are we now, eh, motherfucker?" You are so stupid. You can't stop me. Nah, I can't. But these lot can. What do you mean? Then a soldier shoots Akhaten with a mercury bullet, flowing mercury fluid through him, weakening him, going, "Ah, the fuck?" Yeah, that's right. You're buggered. Now, excuse me, I've got a fight to get back to. Keep an eye on him, boys, said Hyde as he jumps off the building. Is that Dr. Jekyll's dark half? Said one of the soldiers. Yeah, it is. He's nuts, but I'm pretty sure he's alright. Mr. Hyde then lands on a winged gargoyle-like demon as he grabs it by the horns and starts pulling it, going, "Oh, I want to go this way, you knob." The demon creature says, trying to shake Hyde off. Then, landing onto the ground, Hyde then slams it into the floor and rips it in half, down the middle with its horns. Then shouting, "Come on, monsters, is this the best you got?" Then Hyde sees some youths hiding behind some wrecked cars, saying, "Look, kiddies, you better go on home, all right. It's a time for the monsters to play." Monsters? Yes, monsters. Where am I, by the way? You're at some council estate. A council estate? God, London really has changed a lot over the years, hasn't it? Hyde then jumps, taking a massive leap as he carries on fighting. Meanwhile, all the team continue to fight on. Adam, Van Helsing, Gilman and Dracula and Wolfman, along with Mr. Hyde and Imhotep. Then, all of a sudden, the planets unalign very gradually as witches all over the Foundation all perform a spell to try and make the Earth move slightly out of link with the other planets. Then all the rifts begin to close, including the huge one Akhaten opened. Then warrior priests and monks get to work, fighting off all the demons, performing exorcism rituals, fighting them all off, destroying them all. Then, after a huge battle around London, with much wreckage and damage done to the whole city, Dracula then lets out a huge victory roar, and all the surviving civilians start to cheer the monsters. One of them, many of them, holding up all their phones, all ask, "Who are you?" Dracula then tells them, "I am Dracula." Then all the monsters get together as they're being cheered and gleed with victory. People asking, "Who are you people?" Adam then says, "We're just a team, stopping the end of the world." Ava Van Helsing then says, "We're the Monster Squad. Remember that." Then, all of a sudden, Griffin gets a call from the high councils and world leaders saying, "Do you realise what you've done, Griffin? What hell you've unleashed?" Another world leader says, "Yes, you just unleashed hell. Your job was to create the illusion that man is alone, and now man knows they're not alone." Griffin then tells them, "It has been so many times we've been able to brush it off as a hoax, an illusion. People are too advanced in technology, they're too suspicious, too noisy. We're entering a new world, where man will know of our existence. Do you have any idea what religious groups are going to have to say about this?" said another world leader. "Yes, and they will have to adapt. It's a brave new world now, and people need to know of the existence of gods and monsters. We've managed, for the last century or so, to make sure that man is alone," said Griffin. "But now it's time for us to guide man, let them know that not all monsters are evil, and that there are good monsters out there. That's why I've been assembling this squad of individuals." "What, a monster squad?" "Exactly," said Griffin. "This isn't the end of this discussion," said another world leader. "We will talk with you again. And what about if another crisis like this happens?" said Griffin. "We will find ways to deal with it." "Yes, or the monster squad will assemble again." Griffin then ends the call with the world leaders and makes his way back to the Foundation to continue his work. Meanwhile, Imhotep then reminds the squad that there is one last thing they must deal with. Akhaten, as he has been lifted, poisoned with mercury, into a helicopter, where he is taken back to the Foundation and chained up and encased in a mercury fluid-built prison where he is unable to escape. One of the scientists assures Imhotep that he will not escape, or at least it will be easy for him. Imhotep then says, "I guess now we can work towards a better world together, you and I, all of us. What will you do? Said one of the scientists. I guess I'll find new meaning here. My powers and my knowing, I'm sure we can help one another. All the monsters all then part ways for the time being, as they all take things easy. Meanwhile, man now knows of the existence of gods and monsters and other supernatural beings, and the Foundation is ready, as the 21st century is when it all changes. On news reports, people all tell their stories of the Battle of London, what's happened. Some youths say there was this big green, monster. He was kind of like the Hulk, but not as big, and he was scaly. Called himself Mr. Hyde. Another person saying this pale creature that had stitches all over him was quite tall. He fought these monsters, protected us. There was this young woman fighting with the monsters. Another person says, she was a badass girl. Another person tells them that Dracula also intervened. Another soldier in the battle saying, we took orders from one of these monsters, but we thought they clearly know more about it than us. Other people saying the Foundation, we've known for a long time that they're real. It's always been a conspiracy. Great to know now that it's true. Then, many religious groups start to panic as priests and preachers around the world. This is a calling from Satan. The end is nigh and we have to prepare for it. Many other religious groups worry what this event could cause. Meanwhile, a spokesperson for the Foundation says, for the last 125 years, the Foundation's job has been to create the illusion that man is alone. But we can't keep that secret any longer. With the technological advancements you have all made in the last century alone, we can no longer convince you that these sightings of ghosts, UFOs, sea monsters, Bigfoot, the Loch Ness Monster, the Mothman, all these creatures, we can't tell you anymore that it's a prank, because it isn't. Man is not alone in this world. Man is not alone in the universe. Gods and monsters exist. And now that the cat's out of the bag, we all need to coexist, to work together, to live equally, as one. For this is a brave new world. Not all monsters are evil. We can tell you that much, because now that you know of our existence, the Foundation will do everything in their power to make sure that monsters are handled and called to justice in our ways. We just want you to know that the world doesn't have to change that much, because we can find peace. We ask religious orders to please see things differently, to please know that this is not an abomination, not the end of the world. All that you had suspicions on, all that you theorized and conspiracized against, we can confirm it's all real, and it's all here now. Thank you, said the spokesperson. Back at the Foundation, the monsters walk around. Adam then saying, "So what are you going to do now, Dracula?" "I don't know. I think I will relax for a while. Maybe go working into the field." "Ah, yes. That's what I plan to do as well." Meanwhile, Lawrence then says, "Well, looks like we all have jobs here in this foundation." Eva Van Helsing then saying, "Yes, we do." Meanwhile, back in Dr. Jekyll's living quarters, he goes into the bathroom, looks at the mirror, and sees Hyde. Jekyll then says, "You did good, Hyde. You did good. Oh no, Henry. I told you I'd change my ways. Even when the fight was done, I could have stayed. But I chose to come back to the Foundation and have a serum and turn back into you. That shows how much of a changed person I am. Yes, it does. Thank you." Meanwhile, the Gill Man returns to his tank, where Griffin appears, making himself visible. He then says to the Gill Man, "Thank you for everything you did. You know, you've earned yourself a rest, but just know that if you ever want to help out again, you're always free to. Also, if you're going to live here, you could kind of earn your way through by helping us out every now and then round here." "Yes, Griffin, I will." The Gillman then jumps into his tank and swims around in the water once again. Meanwhile, Griffin and Grey walk along the corridors, then saying, "Well, we've entered a brave new world. Looks like some of humanity accepts us, some do not. Well, Grey, that's the whole point. Brave new world for us all. And the 21st century is where it all changes, and they've got to be ready, because the Foundation is ready." In a hell dimension, a demon talks to some unseen being sitting in a throne, saying, "It seems that the event has come and gone, but now mortal men know of the existence of monsters and of things unnatural, and that will create a whole new conflict of negative energy for you to feed on, my lord. And you will rise," said the demon. Then, coming out of the darkness with red glowing eyes and a goat-like demonic head, the devil reveals himself and says, "Perfect." Back at Dracula's living quarters in the Foundation, Dracula walks inside and sees a woman standing by the window. He then says, "You know, I wish mortal humans had this thing where they must be invited into someone's home." The woman then says, "Count Dracula, you set my great-grandfather for life after you went missing in action. Left him enough so that he could set up a law firm. Now that the world knows of monsters' existence, we could probably be a law firm for, well, supernatural beings." "Your great-grandfather? Who are you?" Dracula asks the woman. The woman then steps out of the darkness, revealing herself with white hair, saying, "I am Tamara Ranfield, the great-granddaughter of your former familiar, Thomas Ranfield. I think we need to talk. You see, we believe an ancient burial that you might be familiar with has been disturbed, and, well, I think you need to stop it. Don't you?" Dracula then looks and says, "Yes, let us talk."